Most people are going to see these 20 games and forget half of them before the video's over. But there's one thing about this list that almost nobody notices. At least 3 of these titles have been delayed so many times that even the developers have stopped committing to release dates. And yet, they still rank among the most anticipated games of the decade. From remakes that completely redefine a franchise to MMORPGs that let you travel back in time to witness your own mistakes, this list has a little bit of everything. And I've arranged it so the hype keeps building as we go. If you spot a game you're excited about along the way, be sure to leave a like. It really helps the channel keep making content like this. Let's get started. Lara Croft has never had a map this massive to explore, and that changes everything. Tomb Raider Catalyst drops you into northern India just after a mythical cataclysm splits the earth open, revealing ruins that had been hidden for centuries. And you're not the only treasure hunter interested in them. Rival factions arrive at the same time, all searching for the same power, and that completely changes how you play. It's no longer just you versus the environment. You're racing against people who know exactly what they're doing. Crystal Dynamics calls this the biggest Tomb Raider they've ever made, and you can feel it just from the scale of the tombs. More intricate puzzles, greater verticality, and more alternate paths whenever you get stuck. Built in Unreal Engine 5, exploration carries a real sense of discovery. You step into a ruin never knowing whether you'll come out with a priceless artifact or someone following you. The biggest theme here is trust. Allies can become rivals. Rivals can end up saving your life at the worst possible moment. And Lara has to make those decisions based on instinct, not certainty. Coming in 2027, and it promises to open the series up to players who've never touched the franchise before. 8 players enter the map. Only 1 leaves with the first blood, and even that can change in a matter of seconds. The Duskbloods is From Software's newest project, and yes, it's the same team behind Elden Ring and Dark Souls, trying something they've never done before. A multiplayer action RPG that blends PvP and PvE at the same time, exclusively for the Nintendo Switch 2. You play as one of the Bloodsworn, characters with a vampire-inspired aesthetic, but don't expect classic monsters. The style is more Gothic Victorian, elegant, intimidating, and deadly. Each character comes with unique weapons and abilities, including firearms. What sets this apart from any battle royale is its role system. You might be assigned the mission of hunting down a specific rival or protecting a designated ally, and that completely changes how each match unfolds. It's not just about surviving, it's about completing your own objective in the middle of the chaos. And if you know From Software, you already know that punishing combat isn't optional. It's part of the studio's identity. The difference is that now you're facing real players. Scheduled for release in 2026, with a closed beta plans for the summer. It also marks From Software's first Nintendo console exclusive since 2003. Kina is no longer a rookie. This time, she already knows how to fight, and that's exactly what makes things more interesting. Kina's Scars of Kosmora follows the spirit guide from the first game, now more experienced, as she travels to a new island called Kosmora, in search of a cure for a condition she's carried since childhood, as well as a long-forgotten connection from her past. That's where she discovers a way of guiding spirits that has all but been erased from history because of its dangerous connection to elemental powers. The core formula returns. The spirit companions are back, but this time they truly evolve, gaining new abilities that are useful both in combat and for solving the environmental puzzles that make you stop and look at the world from a different perspective. Combat is faster and more technical, with bosses that require you to truly master the elemental abilities instead of just button mashing. And every region of the island has its own culture and thriving communities, so exploration isn't just about beautiful scenery, it's about uncovering what happened there. At its heart, it's a story about personal scars, just as much as it is about cleansing a corrupted land. No release date has been announced yet. You start the match with only 2 characters. By the end, you've got 4 fighting at the same time, and you barely even notice when it happened. Marvel Tōkon Fighting Souls is the latest project from Arc System Works. Yes, the same studio behind Guilty Gear Strive, but now they're working with Marvel's entire roster. The concept is easy to understand, but difficult to master. 4 versus 4 combat, except you don't have access to your full team right away. You unlock additional teammates as you deal damage and trigger wall breaks, the mechanic that sends your opponent crashing into the next stage in the middle of a combo. The feature that changes everything is the shared health bar. Instead of each character having their own life bar, the entire team shares a single vital gauge that expands as more teammates join the fight. That makes every character swap a meaningful decision. There's also plenty of depth for players who love chaining supers together, bringing back that classic DHC-style team combo system from Tag Fighters, but completely reimagined. Anime-inspired visuals, stages that transform in the middle of the action, and Captain America finally throwing his shield with the impact it deserves. It's scheduled to launch for PlayStation 5 and Windows on August 6, 2026. You don't have a single fixed character. You have an empty body waiting to inhabit the corpse of another warrior and steal everything they knew. Mortal Shell 2 takes the strange yet brilliant concept from the first game, possessing the shells of fallen warriors, and drops it into a compact open world, packed with winding paths and hidden shortcuts. You play as the Harbinger, hunting down the stolen eggs of Undermether, and every body you discover along the way is essentially a brand new build waiting to be unlocked. The biggest change is the pace. The stamina meter that slowed down combat in the original is gone, making every fight faster, more relentless, and filled with brutal executions that feel incredibly satisfying to pull off. It's no longer a slow, methodical experience, it's high-risk combat, where every mistake is costly and every successful combo feels devastating. With more than 60 dungeons spread across forgotten temples, frozen graveyards, and citadels built entirely from bone, exploration rewards players who stray off the beaten path with new warrior shells, bizarre weapons, and fragments of a story that gradually comes together. It's a Souls-like that's moving in the right direction, faster, more open, and even more unforgiving. It's planned for release in 2026. There isn't a single main character here. Your entire community is the main character, and they can truly die. State of Decay 3 brings back the idea that made the series stand out. You're not protecting one hero, you're trying to keep an entire community of survivors alive, and anyone can be lost forever. Permadeath is still the rule, so every decision to head out and explore carries real weight. You never know if the person leaving the base will make it back. The map is now 4 times larger than any previous map in the series and is fully open for exploration from the very beginning. You can also maintain up to 3 active bases at once, each specializing in different roles, whether that's resource production, weapon manufacturing, or whatever best fits your strategy. Multiplayer has evolved as well. Up to 4 players share the same persistent world, and every change you make stays there permanently, shaped by the decisions of the entire group. Then there are the Plague Nests, heavily infested high-risk zones that reward players brave enough to venture inside and make it back alive. Coming in 2027, Day 1 on Game Pass. Imagine freezing time around a monster in the middle of its attack, giving yourself all the time in the world to decide your next move. Chrono Odyssey is a new MMORPG built around time manipulation as its defining feature, not just a gimmick. An artifact known as the Chronotector lets you stop time around enemies or rewind your own character during combat, completely changing the flow of battle. Suddenly, you have openings that no other open-world game can offer. The concept extends far beyond combat. You'll also be able to explore past versions of the same world, before major historical events changed it forever. Walking through a snowy biome in the present and then visiting that exact same location centuries earlier is the kind of experience that sticks with you. The open world is completely seamless, with no loading screens breaking immersion. allowing swamps, grasslands, and frozen regions to flow naturally into one another. On top of that, the game features a deep gathering and crafting system, including harvesting, farming, and mining that encourages real player trading and cooperation. Built in Unreal Engine 5, it also offers extremely detailed character customization. No release date has been announced yet. One wrong move and you don't just get killed, you get dismembered, and the game makes sure you see every detail. Onimusha Way of the Sword marks the series' return after nearly 20 years, and Capcom isn't doing things halfway. You play as Miyamoto Musashi, yes, with the likeness of legendary actor Toshiro Mifune, in a dark version of Kyoto during the Edo period, facing rival swordsmen and demons with a blade that demands precision and timing, not button mashing. Combat is deliberate and methodical. Capcom brought in real swordsmen for the motion capture sessions, and you can feel it. Blocking, parrying, and deflecting projectiles all require precise timing, punishing anyone who just mashes buttons. A perfectly timed defense activates Break Issen, a devastating finishing move that instantly dismembers regular enemies. Even against bosses, where it doesn't kill outright, it deals massive damage and rewards you with extra souls. Those souls are the heart of the progression system. Yellow souls restore health, red souls purchase upgrades, and blue souls unlock Oni weapons, devastating special weapons capable of dealing enormous damage. There's also Oni Vision, which lets you scan the environment for hidden threats. The campaign runs about 20 hours, following a mostly linear structure while still giving players room to explore. Launches on September 25th, 2026. A monster that can hunt you through walls and ceilings. There's nowhere to truly hide, only places where it'll take longer to find you. Resident Evil Requiem has already been released, launching in February 2026, and it became the fastest-selling Resident Evil game in history for one simple reason. It understands exactly what each style of gameplay needs to be. You switch between Grace Ashcroft, an FBI analyst with virtually no combat training, and Leon Kennedy, now older and worn down, returning to the main series after 14 years. Grace's sections are pure survival horror, in the style of Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 7. Limited inventory, hiding under tables, distracting enemies by throwing bottles. One creature known simply as the Girl relentlessly stalks you, immune to conventional weapons, and vulnerable only when exposed to light. Leon's sections, on the other hand, are all-out action, featuring brutal melee attacks with an axe, weapons taken directly from enemies, and a pace much closer to Resident Evil 4. You can also switch between first-person and third-person perspectives at any time, completely changing the feeling of tension. The story revisits Raccoon City's past in ways longtime fans won't see coming. On PC, it supports full ray tracing, and it has even made its way to the Nintendo Switch too. Your entire faction has just been wiped out in an ambush. All that's left is you, a handful of scattered survivors, and an entire continent that won't give you time to grieve. Crimson Desert begins with Cliff losing everything. The Greymanes, his true family, are massacred by the rival Black Bears during a nighttime ambush. From that point on, the story is about rebuilding, gathering the remaining survivors, reclaiming lost territory, and uncovering the truth that even more dangerous factions have been pulling the strings behind the scenes all along. The first thing that stands out is the combat. Instead of relying on rigid combo systems, the game lets you naturally combine weapon strikes with punches, kicks, and grapples to create fluid attack chains. Swords, spears, axes, and ranged weapons all dramatically change the rhythm of combat, with battles ranging from brutal one-on-one duels to massive large-scale warfare. The continent of Pywell is enormous and diverse, featuring scorching deserts, towering mountains, open plains, and dense forests. You'll travel across it on horseback, by dragon, and even in mechs, climbing cliffs and gliding whenever a drop is too far to simply jump. Outside the main story, there's also a more grounded side to the experience: cooking, fishing, and maintaining your camp. Two new playable characters, Onka and Domanion, each bring their own unique combat style, offering fresh ways to explore the world. A god who hunts ghosts between hell and the world of the living. He's neither a hero nor a villain. He's the one who handles the dirty work neither side wants to deal with. Black Myth Zhong is Game Science's follow-up to the phenomenon that was Black Myth Wukong. What's especially interesting is how the project came to be. The studio revealed that while developing a Wukong DLC, they felt the weight of their previous success and the pressure of asking themselves, how do we top this? Instead of trying to repeat the same formula, they decided to create something completely different. The result is a single-player action RPG centered on Zhong, a legendary figure from Chinese folklore known as a ghost hunter who moves freely between hell and the world of the living. That alone gives the game a very different tone from Wukong. Instead of a grand mythological adventure, this looks to be a much darker story focused on the spirit realm, starring a protagonist who literally exists between two worlds. There still aren't many details about the combat or the world itself, but coming from the same team that proved it knows how to turn Asian mythology into visceral action, expectations are already sky high. Coming to PC and consoles with no release date announced yet. Before he became 007, he didn't even have a license to kill. And that's exactly the version of James Bond no one has ever played before. 007 First Light comes from IO Interactive, the studio behind Hitman. And once you understand the concept, the pairing makes perfect sense. The developers convinced the Bond producers that the spy genre works best when solving every problem with bullets is your last option, not your first. It's the same philosophy of infiltration, improvisation, and creative problem-solving that made Hitman so successful, only now it's dressed in a tailored suit. The story's completely original, serving as a full origin story. You play as a young, inexperienced Bond who's still trying to prove he deserves his 00 status. It's not based on any of the films, and the character's appearance isn't modeled after any actor who has portrayed Bond on screen, a first for the franchise. Perhaps the most interesting part of the game's development is the team's stated goal: to create a version of James Bond designed specifically for video games, free from the expectations of any movie, so players can truly feel like this Bond belongs to them. The game launched in May 2026, received strong reviews from critics, and has already sold 3 million copies. A dedicated Nintendo Switch 2 version is also scheduled to arrive later this year. Imagine the exact day the entire world discovers there's an army living beneath its feet, and you're one of the first people forced to fight it without having any idea what's happening. Gears of War E-Day takes place 14 years before the original game, finally showing the event the series had always talked about but never truly explored: Emergence Day. It's the moment the Locust Horde erupts from underground and turns the world of Sarah upside down. You play as a young Marcus Phoenix and Dom Santiago, long before they became the battle-hardened soldiers fans came to know. The Coalition has made its intentions clear. This is a story about brotherhood before it's a story about war. To reinforce that, the Locust drones have been redesigned to feel genuinely terrifying again, instead of the cannon fodder they eventually became in the earlier games. Every encounter carries real tension, because nobody knows how to fight them yet. Unlike Gears 5 and its more open-ended structure, E-Day returns to a linear, more intimate format, focusing on just a few days during the complete collapse of civilization. It also tells the origin story of the iconic Lancer assault rifle, with its signature chainsaw bayonet, one of the series' defining weapons. A prequel that also serves as a fresh beginning, launching on October 6, 2026. You have 30 days to save your family, not one more, and every mission you accept takes time you'll never get back. The Blood of Dawnwalker comes from the game director of The Witcher 3, so you can already imagine the level of narrative ambition here. You play as Cohen, transformed into a Dawnwalker, a being trapped between a vampire's curse and silver poisoning, living on the line between day and night. The game's biggest mechanical twist is its two complete gameplay cycles. During the day, you're human, relying on swordplay and magic. At night, you become something far more savage, wielding vampiric powers and supernatural strength that lets you defy gravity. Each version of your character has different strengths and weaknesses, meaning the same mission can require completely different approaches depending on the time of day. The setting is the Sangora Valley, a fictional kingdom in the Carpathian Mountains ruled by Brankus, an ancient vampire who imposes a literal blood tax on the human population. The open world combines forests, swamps, and forgotten ruins, all built in Unreal Engine 5. Launching on September 3rd, 2026 as the first chapter of an entire saga. You leave a planet to complete a mission. When you come back, decades have passed because you traveled at nearly the speed of light. The choices you made yesterday have already become ancient history for everyone who stayed behind. Exodus is the new project from developers who helped create Mass Effect and Knights of the Old Republic, and you can feel that DNA immediately. You play as June Aslan, a rescuer turned traveler who hunts down relics, advanced artifacts left behind by the Celestials, descendants of humanity who evolved through genetic engineering over thousands of years. The brilliant twist is time dilation. Your interstellar journeys cause time to pass differently for you than for everyone else, meaning you can return from a mission to find the world completely transformed by the consequences of your own past decisions. Combat combines direct battles against constructs, monstrous creatures, rival dynasties, and even the Celestials themselves, with a powerful gauntlet capable of channeling relic technology into devastating abilities that only you can wield. You won't be traveling alone either. You'll assemble a crew of humans and awakened, animals whose intelligence has been enhanced, each with their own beliefs and personalities that influence how relationships and alliances develop. Featuring Matthew McConaughey as the voice of one of the central characters, and a timeline spanning 40,000 years of human history. Scheduled for release in 2027. A wealthy woman is literally rewriting the past to keep you poor in the present, and the only way to fight back is to do exactly the same thing. Clockwork Revolution is a new RPG from In Exile, the studio behind Wasteland, and its core idea is brilliantly simple. You possess a device known as the chronometer, which sends you back into the past, lets you change events, and then brings you back to witness how those changes reshape the present. It isn't just about dialogue choices with delayed consequences. It's about literally rewriting history and returning to walk through the ruins or the triumphs created by your own actions. The game takes place in Avalon, a Victorian-inspired steampunk metropolis where automatons patrol the streets, the wealthy replace their limbs with elaborate clockwork prosthetics, and mechanical servants handle the hardest labor. You play as Morgan Bannett, a member of the Rotten Row hooligans, fighting against Lady Ironwood, who uses time travel to keep the working class exactly where she wants them, at the bottom. Combat combines muskets and revolvers with advanced steampunk technology, and you'll even be able to hack hostile robots in the middle of a fight. The most impressive feature is the ripple effect. Changing even the smallest event in the past can alter a storefront, transform relationships between characters, or completely reshape the city in ways you never saw coming. Planned for release in 2027. You can marry 3 different villagers at the same time, become filthy rich selling swords, and still end up becoming a legend because you gave a chicken to the wrong kid. That's the kind of game this is. Fable returns after more than a decade away, aiming to rebuild Albion from the ground up while keeping the sharp British humor that has always defined the series. You play as the first hero in an entire generation, and that alone changes how the world sees you from the very beginning. Everyone already has an opinion about you before you've even done anything. Combat blends melee weapons, range combat, and magic as you face classic creatures fans have been asking to see again, including Hobbs, Balverines, and Trolls, alongside brand new threats. But what truly sets Fable apart from every other fantasy RPG is everything that happens outside of combat. Becoming a wealthy blacksmith, buying land, raising a family, and building romantic relationships with whoever you want, however you want. The reputation system is also completely unforgiving. Every good or questionable decision affects how individual villagers react to you. It's not a simple good versus evil morality meter. Every person forms their own opinion based on your actions. Launching on February 23, 2027, and it promises to remind everyone why this franchise is so beloved. No one has escaped Semperia for more than 600 years. Not because no one has tried, but because the planet simply won't let them. Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet is Naughty Dog's first original project since the original The Last of Us, and that alone says a lot about the ambition behind it. You play as Jordan A. Munn, a bounty hunter pursuing the criminal syndicate known as the Five Aces, who ends up stranded on this remote planet in the distant future, an alternate universe where advanced space travel already existed back in 1986. What stands out the most is the central theme. Neil Druckmann has described the story as an exploration of what happens when people place their faith in different institutions, revolving around the fictional religion. That pushes the game into much deeper territory than a typical sci-fi action game, with intrigue, uncertainty, and people who believe the wrong things with absolute conviction. In combat, Jordan battles hostile robots armed with bladed weapons, all wrapped in a visual style heavily inspired by Akira and Cowboy Bebop. With a soundtrack composed by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, and a development team of more than 250 people, the game's ambition is unmistakable. Release date still to be announced.
Geralt isn't the hero this time. It's Ciri's turn to write her own story from scratch, by her own rules. The Witcher 4 changes protagonist for the first time in the series' history, and that's no small decision. After 3 games following Geralt to Rivia, you now take control of his adopted daughter Ciri, at the beginning of her journey as a monster hunter. CD Projekt Red has been very clear about the direction they're taking. While Geralt was always the battle-hardened veteran who had already seen it all, Ciri is building her own identity from the ground up, learning the profession through experience. The open world expands across new regions of the continent, including Koviar, a kingdom frequently mentioned in the novels but never fully explored in any previous game. You'll travel mostly on foot, calling your mare Kelpie whenever you need her, with an advanced animal physics system that realistically simulates muscles moving beneath the skin, reaching a level of technical detail comparable to Red Dead Redemption 2. CD Projekt Red has also abandoned its in-house engine in favor of Unreal Engine 5, powered by cutting-edge ray tracing and the latest NVIDIA technology. Doug Cockle returns as the voice of Geralt, so he isn't disappearing from the story, he's simply no longer the one leading the adventure. No exact release date has been announced, but it's officially not expected before 2026.
There's a rumor that this game costs somewhere between $1 billion and $3 billion to make. The rumor alone was enough to bring the entire internet to a standstill for an afternoon. Grand Theft Auto 6 doesn't need an introduction, but it does deserve an explanation for why the hype actually feels justified this time. You play as Lucia Gaminos and Jason Duval, the series' first dual protagonists, navigating a sharp, satirical take on modern-day Florida, Leonida, with Vice City at the heart of it all, packed with references to influencer culture, internet memes, and the kind of Florida man chaos everyone's seen in the headlines. The scale of the production is historic, even before the game reaches store shelves. Industry estimates suggest that pre-orders alone could reach around 39 million copies sold, with projected revenue approaching $3 billion. Even though those figures are still industry projections, they already surpassed the total launch sales of many major games. And that's saying something considering GTA 5 remains the highest-grossing entertainment launch of all time. The second trailer alone shattered the all-time record for the most views in a 24-hour period. After 2 delays, the release date is finally locked in, November 19, 2026. And when it arrives, it won't just be another game launch. It'll be the kind of day that takes over social media, overwhelms online stores, and becomes the only thing people are talking about wherever you go.